What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at my 2014 Lamborghini Gallardo LP550-2. This car is finished in the Bianco Monocerus color. Original MSRP was close to about $190,000. Current market, these cars are around 130 grand. So let's get right into my dream car, see what the Gallardo LP has to offer. Powering the Lamborghini Gallardo is a naturally aspirated 5.2 liter 10-cylinder motor. It's pumping out roughly 550 horsepower with 398 pound-feet of torque. It's paired either to a 6-speed automated manual transmission or a 6-speed gated manual transmission. The car weighs in close to 3,000 pounds. With all-wheel drive, 0 to 60 can happen in 3.4 seconds. Rear-wheel drive, like my car today, 0 to 60 is closer to 3.9 seconds. This car tops out at 199 miles per hour and runs on a 23.8 gallon fuel tank, and you can expect 14 miles per gallon in the city with 20 out on the highway. Overall length is 171.1 inches with a wheelbase at 100.8. Height is 45.9, width is 74.8 inches, and then ground clearance is around 5 inches. The Gallardo also features a set of 6-piston brake calipers up front with a 14.4-inch rotor that is drilled and ventilated. And then in back you get a 4-piston caliper with a 14-inch rotor that of course is also drilled and ventilated. The Lamborghini Gallardo also had a production span of 10 years, ranging from 2004 to 2014 model years. Production itself was 2003 up until 2013, and then all the Gallardos built in the year 2013 have a 50th anniversary logo on the driver's window to commemorate they were built on that 50th anniversary year. Now moving on to the styling with my 2014 LP550-2. Given this is the final year built for the Gallardo, there are a few distinctive features with my particular car, not only because of the year, but because of the rear-wheel drive portion as well. If we go ahead and take a look at the headlights, you had a really cool aggressive design with that classic Y shape that modern Lamborghinis are known for. The front trunk cover has 2 sharp body lines throughout it, along with the Lamborghini logo, finished in the classic gold color. You have a very sporty front end. I love the way these cars look. Of course, I am a huge fan of the Gallardo, but the rear-wheel drive ones are going to have this nice black vinyl on these front intake ducts. This provides a massive amount of cooling to some of the front radiators. You also have a satin black front splitter that provides more cooling into one of the other coolers in this car, and I like how the front end actually does come to a nice sharp point. Definitely has a lot of that Lamborghini heritage in the design with the sharp angles and just a super aggressive design all throughout it. Moving towards the side profile, you can see just how long that front bumper is, along with the classic wedge shape. That front hood just goes right into the windshield, giving it that traditional Lamborghini style. Now these wheels are particular to the final edition rear-wheel drive cars. You also saw these on first-gen Superleggeras, 50th Anniversario, and then a few other cars here and there. I love the gunmetal gray color with the Lamborghini logo right in the center. 19-inch design along with a multi-spoke look. And then you can see a sharp body line for this front fender. The side skirt for the rear-wheel drive cars has a 2-tone color. You can see the satin black down below, which matches very well into that rear diffuser. You have an intake duct right on the side to provide cooling to one of the radiators. On the other side of the car, that same duct is for an oil cooler. I also love the body-colored mirrors. They protrude outwards with a super aggressive style. The roof portion is very flat and smooth. You got a nice trim piece above the rear window. And then for the rear deck lid, you can see the transparent engine cover to get a sneak peek at that massive V10. You got some black trim on the sides that are also acting as heat extraction vents. And then the upper duct right here is an air intake. Moving on to the back, I love the design for these red taillights. They have more of that Y color to them. You're going to see an aluminum mesh design for the grille underneath all that. That provides some heat extraction for the exhaust. You have Lamborghini written right in the center, and then I've added the carbon fiber Superleggera style rear wing, finished of course in all genuine carbon. You have a backup camera integrated along with your third brake light. The factory wing is going to be very low and flat, seamless to the bodywork, and it will give you about a 1-inch raise depending on the speed you're going for a nice small active wing. I also have added the Superleggera tips. Standard ones are going to be small in chrome, and then you have a massive rear diffuser finished in the satin black. You can even see part of the transmission back there. It's a gorgeous look. I love the rear end of the LP Gallardos. Very flat and very wide. Certainly a super aggressive car. Moving on to the key fob, you just have lock and unlock, a Lamborghini logo on one side, and then a switchblade style key like an old school car. Unlocking the car, we can grab the handle and open it up. The interior on this car is finished in the black leather. You're also going to see red accents all throughout it. Door panel finished off in smooth black leather for the surround, and then I love all the perforated leather throughout the center with the red contrast stitching. We have leather on the grab handle. You have your release handle with lock and unlock, a little bit of storage down below, and one of the speakers. Gallardo is written out on the door sill. And then a look at these seats. They do have power operations with adjustable lumbar support, and I love the red piping with red stitching. All perforated throughout the center with more contrast stitching. It's a pretty nice looking bucket style seat, not too crazy aggressive like the buckets. We even have Lamborghini embossed on the headrest with more stitching all throughout it, and then a black leather steering wheel with a flat bottom design, and then two-tone leather and perforated leather. And then now inside the Gallardo, going ahead, flipping the key out, we can insert it into the ignition. Turning the ignition on, we'll prime the electronics along with the hydraulic system. Car says okay, foot on the brake, and we can fire it up. Taking a look at the gauge cluster now, you're going to have the analog tack on the left with your date and time. We have your coolant temperature on the left side, speedometer on the right with your gas. And then you have a small screen right in the center. You can actually configure this using the stalk on the right side. You can tap this under button and you're going to cycle through the center. So you can go to a nav screen, few display type information, even have a lap timer. And then I can scroll up and down and see a few things of information right in the center. That's a nice touch. There's basically just enough information in the center. And you can see those toggles on the far right side. The right side, you're also going to see the up paddle, and then your left paddle is for downshifting. Nice design for the small steering wheel, and turn signal stalk is down below with your high beams. Now on the left side of the steering wheel, we have a little storage cubby, great for a cell phone or a pair of sunglasses. Reverse button is over here, and then perforated and smooth leather across the dashboard. You can see all the smooth leather across the dash. You're going to see the gauges for the oil temperature, pressure, and battery. And then we have Lamborghini written on the far right side with more smooth and perforated leather. Now the center infotainment screen is very familiar to other Audi products. You have all your shortcuts down below for navigation and media. The map itself, if we just toggle that, isn't too bad. It's the old school stuff. However, it honestly does get the job done. When you're in reverse, you have a backup camera that will pop up. You're also able to turn this on at any speed. And then down below, we have a few nice toggles. Your window switches are on the far sides. Headlight controls, you just turn that on and off. And then fog lights, these are a dummy light for American cars that does nothing. However, we have our hazards in the center, traction, and your fuel cap. Climate controls down below, just like a lot of Audis. You basically tap a corner and you're able to make your adjustments. Now we have our temperature, you have your different zones you can go into, and then for heated seats, you just tap that, and we have several different settings. Off button as well, recirc, things like that. And then all down below that, we have all of our controls for the side mirrors, the front end lift, along with the rear camera, and then our drive modes. We have a Sport and Corsa, and toggling automatic and normal mode. You can see more of the leather and stitching all throughout the center, manual handbrake with more stitching, and there's even a cup holder with a 12 volt. On the far right side, we have a nice sized glove box as well, and you can see a pretty good amount of storage in here with a plug that you can even plug in a modern phone. One last look at the interior. I love the way everything is designed. I think it's a gorgeous car, especially being nearly a 20-year-old design. We have the shelf back here as well with a built-in cargo net, and then a full leather headliner with a little bit of stitching. There is Alcantara on the sun visors, dome lights, and then a thin mirror. Now as far as storage goes, on the back side of each of the seats, you can just stick your hand in here, grab the lever, and pull the seats forward just a little bit. And you can see a pretty good look at the storage down below. You also have the latch to open up for the engine. And then from the passenger side, you can see another look. I have mounted a fire extinguisher on here as well, but you can honestly fit a few small duffel bags back here to make this interior pretty roomy for a road trip. To move on to the front storage, there's a manual latch in the driver's footwell. You're gonna pop that just like in a normal car for your engine. And then the latch is on the left side. You can just lift that up. So in here, we have a decent amount of space. Honestly, you can still fit several large items. You could even go grocery shopping in this car. But a couple backpacks and you are pretty good to go with the amount of storage in a small car like this. On this side, you have your tow hook. Of course, the Lamborghini gloves are in here, along with a few tools. And then depending on if your car still has it, there's a little kit that will also come with this car. So my thoughts with this car, what is it like to be behind the wheel? If we just tone it down and drive this car into normal mode, it's a little on the lazy side. So if I take it out of sport, go into automatic, the car can drive like a normal car. Now this has still a single clutch automated manual transmission. So while it is in automatic mode, it has a physical clutch just like the 6-speed standard car. So it's the same transmission, they just have hydraulically actuated for this E-gear versus manual actuated. So it's a cool design, it's very old school in automatic mode, whether or not you're in manual mode or not in just this non-sport mode. The car's a little on the lazy side. You know, when you accelerate, a very slow gear change in that normal setting. So particularly, go back into manual, and then go into sport mode. It gives you a little bit quicker transmission shifts and it's a lot more engaging. Corsa mode makes the shifts even quicker. I save that for the back roads just to get a little bit better response. As far as normal driving, these seats are actually not that bad. They do support you good enough at 5'11". I sit in here, I don't know if you'd want to be much taller than 6 feet. However, I've seen a lot taller people drive these cars. I have a couple inches of headroom, good enough legroom and everything. And I had the seat at that sweet spot to where it's as low as I can go, but just lift it up enough to help the bottom support. The seats are a little hard and thin, I would say, on the base. So if you don't have it lifted up, you feel like you're sitting on the actual floor. And then I had the recline just enough to where the back isn't hitting the cargo shelf. The V10, of course, sounds incredible. It is an addicting soundtrack. But I like how this car is still pretty livable. It has enough technology like navigation. I can listen to my modern music in here. The speakers are fine. Of course, I don't really listen to music much because the V10 sounds incredible. It's also a very low car. You have a super long windshield. It is way different than any other car, honestly. It is a very hunkered down wedge that you're sitting inside of, which no car aside from a Lamborghini has that view when you're sitting in here. Visibility is actually pretty good. Over your left shoulder, you can see out that window so well. Your right shoulder, sometimes you bump up a little bit and you can see over the rear just a little bit better. But it's not really that hard of a car to drive. It is very manual. The steering is incredibly heavy. The brake pedal, you really have to press it hard to start slowing down. So if we go into Corsa mode, Corsa mode's a little abusive on the clutch, so first and second gear it's a little aggressive. And that is half throttle, not up to twice the speed limit. Like, this thing gets to 55 so quickly. It is way faster than I expected it to be. It hits you in the back with those gear changes because it's literally a manual. It has to disengage and re-engage the clutch. And in Corsa mode, it does it with some force. Sport mode, a little bit smoother, less aggressive, but still quick enough to be fun. The handling in this car is actually pretty good. While it has a very long front end to where it takes some getting used to, knowing where your front wheels are, you can't see any wheel arches or anything like that. It's actually a pretty nimble car at 3,000 pounds. I mean, this is very lightweight and it is so direct. There's nothing artificial in this car. Everything works because it is physical. Modern cars have electric this, fly-by-wire that, not in the old Gallardo. When you get up and go, you can feel in first gear the clutch engage. Kind of like in a manual, you basically have to feather the gas and you feel it engage a little bit. So it's got a very mechanical aspect. And going through those sweepers, you know, the car is pretty planted. It's got a very stiff suspension, a little on the unforgiving side. If you're on a very bumpy road, you're gonna feel every bit of it. There is nothing all too normal about how this car drives. It's normal enough, but everything is cranked up to level Lamborghini. It is very interesting, but it makes for a fun experience. You know, this doesn't drive like anything else, and every time you drive the Gallardo, it feels like an occasion. Whether you're going very slow or really fast, it always feels like something super cool. Turning circle is actually not the best. You would think the rear-wheel drive one would be better, but it's actually a pretty big circle here. And on these bumps, I am feeling every little pebble that is in the road. I just love the analog connection you get as a driver from the steering feel, the brake pedal, the instant throttle response from the big naturally aspirated engine. The power delivery is so smooth from the engine. It revs so beautifully up to 8,500 RPM. It is so cool and rewarding to drive well. Man, you just have a symphony behind you with that engine. Oh my gosh. I love between shift, there's kind of like a crackle because obviously it's like a manual. It has to disengage and re-engage. There is so much character, so much drama. It is so cool. So there is a full look at the 2014 Lamborghini Gallardo. They made 14,022 Gallardos over the 10-year span, and this car is one of the last ones they ever built in the last 200. And final edition rear-wheel drive, of course, is a really cool trim to find, of course, with the 50th logo. So I've made a few items of apparel with the 50 logo. It's pretty cool to have a car that was built on the anniversary year. And this is as new as it gets, basically as best as it gets as far as a modern Gallardo. And I'm loving every second of ownership and driving characteristics with this amazing V10. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for plenty more content, and take a look at the Lamborghini playlist for tons of videos on this one as well as several others. I will see you all in the next video.